Please take a seat. Please take a seat. Wait. Okay. So, very good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at NUSISS. My name is Edgar. I've been the person who's been emailing you. So, a very warm welcome back to school, to campus. And today, this series of talks actually brought to you by NUS Scale is part of our efforts in trying to get alumni to come back as part of the strategy and mission for lifelong learning. All right, so today's talk is on symbiotic intelligence in manufacturing, collaborative robotics, and agentic AI for Industry 5.0 and beyond. So it's quite a mouthful, but inside here, there are some of the sexiest terms today in AI, right? So collaborative robotics, agentic AI. So today's talk will be brought to you by Dr. Xavier Xie. He is one of our senior principal lecturers here at NUSISS, and he teaches robotics and AI. Okay, so I hand the time over to Dr. Xavier.
Thank you very much, Edgar, for the kind introductions. First of all, for all the NUS alumni, right, welcome back home. Okay, so after we graduate, when we step out of the NUS campus, right, we don't leave NUS behind, right? So actually, each one of you carry your NUS legacies, whether it's in building your own products, or whether it's leading your teams, or whether it's solving the problem inside your workplace. Okay, so we are writing our own NUS stories. Okay, so tonight, let's add another line to our NUS stories. Okay, so I hope my talk gonna be interactive. Okay, so I hope you can get some insight from my talks, and also I hope to learn from you guys because you guys are the field experts. Okay, so my talk today will be symbiotic intelligence. Okay, so symbiotic actually means the two different species living and also collaborating in a close proximities. Okay, so I'll talk about the symbiotic intelligence in manufacturing, and also I'll cover the collaborative robots, sorry, also agentic AI for Industry 5.0. Okay. All right. So you are not very familiar with NUSISS. Actually, we were established back in 1981. Okay, so we already trained over 200,000 professionals, and our mission is developing digital talent through education, applied research, consulting, and career services. All right. So a brief introduction of myself. My name is Xavier. Currently, I'm a senior lecturer in the AI practice in the NUSISS. Okay, so I'm also the graduate certification manager for intelligent robotics system. And prior to this role, right, I taught a master and PhD in NTU in the area of robotics and also industrial automations. Okay, so even before that, right, I was a senior scientist in ISTA, leading some of the government initiatives. My research interest is collaborative robots, 3D image processing, and also autonomous systems. Okay, so you can see, right, my career previously, since young, right, I like to study the mechanism of robots, and also I like to disassemble and assemble stuff. Okay, but until I do it full time, 9 to 6. Okay, so I found out robots are not my interest anymore. Okay, so that's why a few years back I pivoted my career into education because I found out myself genuinely happy to pass on my knowledge to students, and also I found out I'm very proud when my student nail a very good job offers or even achieve very well in academics. Okay, so that's why interest, right, can change over time. So last week we like to play badminton, but this week we change to pickleball. So interests can change over times, but passion stay true across your career. You know, passion, right? This word actually coming from the Latin words passio, or the French passion, right? You watch the movie La Passion du Christ. So this movie actually about the suffering of Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's why you ask me whether I'm suffering now. Yes, because it's very stressful. AI is evolving so fast. I have to keep revamping my course materials. And also in the first half of the year, right, I only sleep 5 hours because it's very stressful in the education sectors. If you ask me, right, I'm more stressful than my student during examinations. Okay, but I still choose to do it because why? That's my passions. Okay, so I found my passions. Okay, so that's a little story about my career. All right, so for today's agenda, first I will cover the foundations, the definition for Industrial 5.0, and also I'll talk about the relationship between Industrial 5.0 and Industrial 4.0. And then I will talk about the two enabling technologies, which is Agentic AI and also collaborative robots. Okay, so next I'll talk about the mediums to achieve Industrial 5.0, which is embodiment. I think most of you already heard embodied intelligence, right? So these are the medium to achieve Industrial 5.0. So last but not least, right, I'll bring back to the Singapore context. All right? Okay, so let's do a quick warm-up first. Before I go in full throttle, right, to tell you all the technical details to make some of you fall asleep, right? So let's do a warm-up. Okay, so based on your current understanding of Agentic AI, so if Agentic AI was a person at a party, in your opinion, what do you think we'll do? Okay, so we have 30 seconds to think about it, then we'll do a quick show of hands. All right? Okay, just try to find the best answers. There's no option number E or number F, right? All of the above or none of the above. Just choose the best answer based on your current understandings, right? So are we ready? Okay, so let's party. Okay, so who think the first one? Quietly plan the word domination from the corners. Who think the first one? Let's do a quick show of hands. Okay, so I think around 5 of you. Okay, so actually I'm actually not very surprised. People worry about the AI future because you know this can be the Terminators or Matrix plot come to real life, right? Because for Homo sapien, right, which is the modern human, we only have around 160 years of histories, but we are smart enough to develop the technologies which can destroy the whole planet Earth, which is nukes, right? Nuclear power weapons. Okay, so that can be the same for AI. If we don't limit the development of AI, it might actually just treat us as an obstacle along the way to achieve its full potentials. Just like when we try to build road, we try to build our houses, right? If the tree was along the way, we'll try to remove the tree, right? So this can be the same for human. If AI thinks us as a threat, it might just eliminate the human races from the planet. Okay, so that's the first one. Who think the second one? Offer to help you clean up without being asked. Only one? Okay. Okay, so I think around 10 of you. So this one is actually the AI optimist. So this is the best case scenario, right? AI being collaborative and also AI being proactive. So it try to help you without being asked. Okay, so this is the best case scenario. Okay, so how about the one? Try to DG by interference with Spotify and play only Lady Gaga. Okay, so another maybe 15 of you. Okay, so this actually, there's no physical harm, right, for this scenario. Emotional damage depends on whether you like Lady Gaga or not, right? Whether you like Abracadabra or like Alejandro, this kind of song or not, right? So, but on the deeper side, right, this option actually means, you know, the current AI state of art. Okay, so we actually witness the potential of AI, right? The AI can enhance productivity, AI can enhance efficiencies, but at the same time, we must acknowledge the limitations of our current AI system. 90% of the AI system fail. Okay, so we must also acknowledge the AI limitations. Okay, so how about the last one? Refuse to attend unless it can define the party objective. Okay, so I think another maybe 12 of you. Okay, so this option, actually the AI is being very cautious, right? You are refused to execute only if you have a clear objectives. So this one is actually the goal-oriented AI. Okay, but on the deeper side, right, this option actually means if we over-regulating AI, we actually will hinder the AI development. Okay, so that's option number 4. All right, so my point here is, right, the future of AI is not only dependent on the AI technology advances behind the scene, right, is also people management. Is also stakeholder management. So we have an AI optimist, right? We also have an AI pessimist, skeptics. So we also have a ethicist, which means they focus on AI ethics. Okay? We also have tech realist. For me, I'm a tech realist. Okay? So that's option number 3, right? So I also acknowledge the limitation of AI. Okay? So we also have business visionary. So these people are money driven, right? So they think AI will boost our economies. Okay? But also on top of it, right, is AI governing, right? Whether it's government or it's a company regulation or policies. Okay? So we must coordinate different type of AI roles. You know, inside this room, right, there's so many people with different views. So if we expand to the whole world, right, there's different type of roles. So we must coordinate between different roles and also foster international collaborations. Because for AI, right, you cannot develop AI by one single nation. So you must foster international collaborations, and also you must make sure the transparency, fairness, ethical use of AI. Okay, so that's my point over here. All right, so now let's go to the main topic for today. Okay, so first I'll talk about the definition for Industrial 5.0. But before, right, I talk about Industrial 4.0, I'd like to use this quote by this guy called Marshall. Right, it's not Marshall the speaker, it's Marshall McLuhan. So he's a Canadian philosopher and also the median theorist. So he once said, right, we shape our tools, and thereafter our tool was also shape us. Okay? So what it means is actually we create technology, right? Our technology can solve problems and improve efficiencies and also extend our capabilities. But on the same time, right, it also affects how we think, how we behave, how we act in the societies. Okay? So for example, I think in Orchard Road or pedestrian walk, right, you'll see people doing this, right? Scrolling phones, scrolling Instagram or Snapchat, right? So that's one example of how technology can affect our lives. Even sometimes when driving, right, I also saw people, you know, scrolling the phones when they're driving. Okay, so that's one example. Okay, so so it's not one-way process. Previously, we witnessed the dot-com booming, right? The internet boomings, and then the blockchain, right? Blockchain, and now it's AI. Okay, so I think we're all very lucky enough to witness the AI achieving the full blossoms. Okay, because for AI development, it's not a smooth journey. In the 1970s and the 1990s, right, AI has 2 winters. AI winters means the government or the funding agencies cut the funding for AI research. And also researchers tend to not say they are actually AI researchers. They say they are knowledge-based. They are building knowledge-based systems, or they are actually building cognitive systems. So nobody wants to say they are doing AI. Why? Because people think AI will link to the unrealistic dreamers. Okay, so they like to overpromise. Okay, but now we are lucky enough to witness another booming of AI. Okay. All right. Okay, so I think most of you are already very familiar with Industrial 4.0. Okay, so Industrial 4.0 was first introduced in the Hanover Messe in 2011. Sorry. And it was popularized by this guy called Klaus Schwab. So he's a world economy founder. Okay? So in the Industrial 4.0, it's a joining forces of technologies such as AI, gene editing, and also advanced robotics. Okay? So this kind of technology, they blur the boundaries of cyber physics systems. Okay? Okay, so the Industrial 4.0, they actually introduce or mature some of the technologies. For example, automations, robotics, IoT, and AI. Okay, so the focus for Industrial 4.0 or I 4.0, right, is actually focused on improve the efficiencies and also productivities. Okay, so it's a tool, but at the same time, right, you also create a lot of disruptions. So that's how the tool will affect us. Okay, so the disruption it causes is actually they will display a lot tedious or manual repetitive jobs. And secondly, it shift the human to more value-added works. For example, factory monitoring or maintenance. So lastly, it make us adapt to machines. So that's about Industrial 4.0. Okay, so that's the background of why Industrial 5.0 emerged. Okay, so Industrial 5.0, the key words is sustainability, resilience, and human-centeredness. Okay, when I see this word, right, they are all very positive. In Gen Z's term, right, these term of words, when I saw the word, right, I can already feel the aura, right, aura farming, all right? So the Industrial 5.0 encompasses of the notions of harmonious human-robot collaborations. It's bring the human value back to the manufacturing, okay? So I always use this analogy to explain to my students. So what's the relation between Industrial 5.0 and Industrial 4.0? So sometimes, right, when we feel burnout, when we feel very stressful at work, what we do? Besides resigning, what we do? So we take a break, right? We spend some me times. We take a break. We're doing meditations, or focus on mental health. So exactly this is what happened to Industrial 5.0. So Industrial 5.0 is actually the me time for Industrial 4.0. It's a reshaping, it's a rebalancing. So it's not replacement. So industrial, because some people ask me, right, my company is still doing digitalizations, and my company is still doing robotics and AI. How come now already Industrial 5.0? The answer is the Industrial 4.0 is still relevant. It's not replacement. Okay? So Industrial 4.0 and Industrial 5.0, they're actually running in parallel. Okay? Okay, so it's a rebalancing. So the key focus now is actually the tools are designed to enhance human capabilities, not to silence them. Okay? And also the cobots, Agentic AI, embody intelligence, right? So they are here to work with people, not to replace people. Okay? And also the new focus is inclusion, well-being, resilience, and sustainability. Okay? So the tools are now reshaped deliberately to solving the aging populations, and also to let us focus on the high value added jobs, and also help us to make decisions better. Okay, so that's the definition for Industrial 5.0. Okay, so if you look at this chart over here, right? Sorry. If you look at this chronicle chart over here, you can see, right, unlike the first 4 industrial revolutions, right, it's a sequential. The Industrial 4.0, Industrial 5.0, they're actually running in parallel. Okay, so the first 4 is actually sequential, right? So the first industrial revolution is about the mechanizations. The second industrial revolution is about the electrifications, right? The Industrial 3.0 is about the globalizations. Industrial 4.0 is about the digitalizations, and now the Industrial 5.0 is about the human-robot collaborations. Okay, so some may ask me, right? How come there's a gap between each industrial revolutions? Okay, so one reason is because of the war, right? Between the first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution is the American Civil War, right? The European revolutions. Between the second and third industrial revolution is the World War I, right? World War II. Okay, so currently I saw the war between Russia, Ukraine, and also Israel, like between Iran and Palestine. Also recently the bombing Doha, right? Okay, so when hopefully there's not another World War III coming, because you see, right, each war will not only disrupt our society, but you will also stop the technology advances. It takes so many years to bounce back. Okay, so you will affect all our sectors. Maybe only benefits the defense sector a bit, but if your supply chains were disrupted, right, the defense sector will also got affected. Okay, so that's one reason. So another reason is it takes time to absorb all those excessive human powers from those sectors that were disrupted by the introduction of the new technologies. So it takes time to reconfigure it takes time to do reconfigurations. Because you want to embrace the new technology, right, we need to make our current infrastructures compatible with the new technologies. So this process, retraining of the workers, reconfiguration of your manufacturing processor, this actually takes time. Okay, so that's why there's a huge gap between each industrial revolutions. Okay, so now let's talk about the one of the enabling technology for Industrial 5.0, which is Agentic AI. Okay, so before I talk about Agentic AI, right, so I think we must know the 3 different types of AI. Okay, so these 3 types are, first is artificial narrow intelligence, which is also called the weak AI. Okay, so this artificial narrow intelligence actually means the AI only designed for specific tasks. Okay, so for example, your Netflix recommendation system or your Spotify recommendation system. So these are a typical example of weak AI, artificial narrow intelligence. Okay, but your AI match the human capabilities, and AI be able to generalize knowledge. So these are called artificial general intelligence. Okay, so the second tier. Okay, so you will further up, right? So it's called the artificial super intelligence. So this means the AI already surpassed human intelligence in all aspects. It's kind of getting very scary, right? But this is only theoretical, because whether we can achieve artificial super intelligence based on whether we can even achieve artificial general intelligence. If we never achieve general intelligence, right, so not to mention artificial super intelligence, all right? So make a guess, where are we now? Artificial narrow, general, or super intelligence? Where are we now? Make a guess. General? Narrow, right? Not yet. So most of the AI solution we see on the market, right, is still artificial narrow intelligence. Okay, so optimistically speaking, right, we are 5 to 20 years away from artificial general intelligence. But it also depends on the technology advances. Because nowadays you see every 2 weeks there's a new model coming out, that language model coming out, right? So it really depends on the technology advances. Also depend on our societal readiness, whether we can achieve AGI or not. Okay. Then how about ChatGPT? So these are some examples of the big AI. Okay, so your email spam filter, autonomous vehicle, or your facial recognition. So these are all big AI. It's not general intelligence. All right. So how about ChatGPT? Whether ChatGPT is a general intelligence or big AI, artificial narrow intelligence? The answer is still narrow intelligence. Because why? Even though ChatGPT can generate the human-like text, but they don't have the true understanding of knowledge, nor do they have the self-awareness. So that's why ChatGPT is still a narrow intelligence. All right? So now let's go to Agentic AI. Okay? So this is the word cloud I crawl over the internet. So you can see, right, the bigger the letter, the more correlation you have with Agentic AI. You can actually take a glimpse of the definition of Agentic AI. Okay? So you can see the keywords, right? For example, autonomy, AI agents, right? Complex tasks, reasonings, or memories, or proactive planning and reasonings. Okay, so you actually can feel what Agentic AI is about. All right. Okay, so Agentic AI actually refer to the artificial intelligence system that they process agencies. So agency is the key. Okay, and also they have the ability to autonomous pursue goals, make decisions, and take actions. So they can actually through observation, they also can act inside the environments, but they also can draw from memory, right? They can recall memories, just like human. They can actually call memories, which is empirical knowledge, right? They can also utilize tools. So the key difference between human and animals is we can utilize tools, right? So that's a human-like behaviors. So lastly, they also goal-oriented. Okay? So in summary, right, the key characteristics of Agentic AI, first, they have autonomies. So they can execute the task autonomously, okay, without the step-by-step human guidance. So secondly, these goal-oriented behaviors. They not only follow the goals, but they can also adapt or change the goal along the way, depending on the environment changes. Okay. Thirdly, they can do planning and reasoning, so just like human, right? So number 4, like I mentioned, right, they can utilize external tools. Also, they can call APIs. Okay. So last but not least, right, they have the memories. They can use the past actions, also the previous knowledge to improve the overall performance. So it's like empirical knowledge, all right? Okay, so some might ask me, right, in some online tutorials, they talk about AI agent and Agentic AI. So whether the words tabali, right, but whether the meaning similar or not. So AI agent and Agentic AI are different concepts, okay? So Agentic AI actually is all about the agencies. It's about they can execute the task autonomously. But for AI agent, it doesn't have to be agentic. For example, I can have an AI agent just to call an API, or I can have an AI agent, based on some rule-based systems. Okay, so rule-based system in layman term, right, is if-else systems. So they are not agentic, but they can be called AI agents. Okay, so now let's dive deeper into generative AI and also Agentic AI. So what's the difference? Because these two actually sharing some similarity, right? So generative AI and Agentic AI, they both rely on large language models. Okay, but for generative AI, the goal is to generate content, for example, text, images, or audio videos. Okay, so for Gen AI, right, it's actually reactive, which means the user prompt, then the Gen AI will reply. So it's actually a reactive actions. Okay, so they can be used to do some creative or expressive tasks, such as writing, summarization, or design. Okay, but for Agentic AI, it's a goal-directed actions. Okay, so which means they can plan, decide, execute tasks, and also it's proactive. Okay, so which means they don't need the user giving instructions. They can autonomously execute the tasks and also adapt in the environment, make changes. Okay, so also agentic AI, they can actually break down the complex tasks into multiple steps. Okay, so just like human do. Okay, so and also agentic AI, they can utilize tools, but for generative AI, usually they cannot utilize tools. Okay, also they doesn't act or execute by itself. Okay, so one example of generative AI here is, I think most of you, right, using ChatGPT to generate travel itineraries, right? So this is one typical example of generative AI. Okay, but for agentic AI, it's another level. You have an AI assistant, like plan your business trip, book your hotel, plan your flights, mark your calendars, sending email invitations. So it's a whole another games. Okay, so that's the difference between these two. Okay, so we must make sure that the difference, the definition difference, right? Okay, so some researchers, right, actually they are treated agentic AI as a stepping stone or prerequisite to reach the artificial general intelligence. Okay, so because the agentic AI, they bring AI closer to human-like behaviors. For example, just now I mentioned, right, planning, reasoning. These are all human-like behaviors. And secondly, you also allow the testing of emergent capabilities. The emergent capability actually means utilize the tools, right? Just like human, we can utilize tools, okay? And also, it blur the boundaries between artificial general intelligence, all right? So, however, the agentic AI today, they are still heavily relying on the specific architectures or prompt engineer, okay? So they still don't possess the true understanding and also the flexibilities. So that's why it's still artificial narrow intelligence, all right? Okay, so I'll give you a few examples of how agentic AI can be used in manufacturing. So the first example is agentic AI can actually automate the supply chain tasks. For example, you can have several AI agents. So one agent doing the procurement schedules, so one agent doing the past planning, right? Another agent doing the warehouse management, decision making, so another agent doing the report generations. Okay, then you have a agent control decision logics to coordinate and control different agents. Okay, so if we scale this agentic AI up to the whole factory level, we can have a self-regulating smart factories. Okay, so previously we keep talking about the network factory, right? But network factory is more about fully automations without any human operators. But this self-regulating smart factory, right, is another level. Okay, so which means you have a central AI orchestrators. Okay, so this central orchestrator can coordinate and command different AI agents. So these are all different type of AI agents. For example, you can have a supply chain agent, safety compliance agent, maintenance agent, digital twin agent, or cybersecurity agent. Okay, so it's all coordinated and also planning by these central orchestrators. Okay, so these two examples of agentic AI can be adopted in the manufacturing sectors. All right. Okay, so another enabling technology is collaborative robots, or we call cobot for short. Okay, so but before I talk about the cobot, right? So there's another type of robots. It's called the industrial robots. So the industrial robot, the safety is actually certified under ISO 102.1A. So -1 and -2. Okay, so -1 is for the manufacturer. So -2 is for the system integrators. Okay, so for industrial robot, the definition is they are mostly used for manufacturing. And also, the industrial robots can be automated, programmable, and capable of movements on 3 or more axes. Okay, so they can do most of the common manufacturing tasks, such as painting, welding, assembly, disassembly, with a high endurance and speed precision. So that's about the industrial robot. So these are some common type of industrial robots over here. Okay, so the pros and cons for industrial robot, right? For the advantages of industrial robots, okay, so they are suitable for heavy, hazardous or monotonous manufacturing processes. Okay, so they are able to handle large or heavy materials up to 2.3 tons. But the disadvantage is it's mandatory to build a safety cage around the industrial robots. And secondly, they are generally large in footprints, also require large upfront investments, initial investments. Okay, so that's about the industrial robots. Okay, so then how about the cobots? Okay, so cobots was compliant under ISO 15066, okay, until February 2025. So later I will explain why it's only until February 2025. Okay, so for cobots, right, so they are smaller in size. Also, they are designed to work hand in hand with human operators. Okay, so they are best to do this kind of repetitive jobs such as pick and place, inspections. Okay, so these are some common cobot brands. Okay, so for the pro and cons for cobot, right? For cobot, they are designed to assist human operators. Okay, and also for those type of tedious, strenuous, or dangerous tasks, but they are also lower initial investment to set up, and they can do large variety of processes. But the disadvantage is they are not suitable for heavy lifting because they are relatively low payloads, up to 35 kgs. But nowadays, a lot of cobot, right, they can actually achieve 60 kgs. Okay, so they are lower in payloads. Okay, so if we compare these two, right, the industrial robots are designed to replace humans. Okay, they are used to automate the processor in heavy manufacturing. Also, they require skilled operator to program the robots. Okay, last but not least, right, they need a safety caging or enclosures around the robot to keep the human out of the robotic operating zones, to keep the human operators safe. Okay, but for cobots, right, cobots, they are designed to work alongside with human operators. And also for cobot, usually for the programming of the cobot, right, you don't need experienced operators because most of the cobot they adopt low code or no code. So the operator can just drag and drop the programming, the chunk of programming code to form the robotic programs. They don't need to be skilled programmers, okay? And also, it doesn't need a safety cage, okay? But this all changed in February 2025 when the A3 stands for Associations for Advancing Automations. When they actually merge this ISO 15066 into the ISO 10218-2. So which means this collaborative, right, is no longer defined by the hardware. Okay, so previously we talked about different hardware, right? So that's why cobots and industrial robots. But after this merge, right, the collaborative is no longer defined by the hardware. Okay, so industrial robot can also be collaborative as long as you have the safety measure in place. So does the humanoid robots or mobile manipulators, platforms. So they can also be collaborative as long as you have the safety measure in place. Okay, so it's a whole new different robot classification schemes after February 2025. Okay, also in this revision, right, they also introduced the biomechanical safety and cybersecurity, which is all prepared for the future's use case. Okay. Okay, so you can see, right, the human-robot synergies, the collaborative robots, right, is a perfect example for Industrial 5.0. So whether you're using robot to do pick and place beside the human operators, or you are using robot to do assembly or disassembly, right, in the close proximity with operators, or you are using cobot to do swab tests, right? During COVID, actually a lot of cobots they are being adopted to use to do the swab tests, right, med testings. And also in the mod, right, you can see cobot, right, they're actually doing barista, doing bartendings, right, to mix the cocktails for you or mix the flat white for you. Okay, so this is a typical example of Industrial 5.0. All right? Okay, so just now we talked about the two enabling technologies, right? But what's the medium to achieve Industrial 5.0? So the medium is embodiment. Okay, so it's also the defining features for AI 2.0. Okay, so the AI 2.0 actually means the AI is no longer confined in the screen, monitors, or virtual environments, or even the algorithms. So previously, the AI is all algorithm, right? The AI to predict stocks, AI to do prediction, AI to do maintenance, forecasting, right? So these are all algorithms, recommendation systems. So these are all algorithms. We cannot feel or touch. But now, the AI 2.0, right? The AI actually step into our real world. So for example, the first one, the driverless Waymo autonomous vehicle. So if you go San Francisco, Phoenix, or Austin, right, you can see these kind of autonomous driverless vehicles. Okay, so the second one is the delivery bots. So this influencer, iShowSpeed, right, he's very short of these delivery bots. But actually, nowadays, it's very common. This kind of delivery robot, right, they can deliver parcel, deliver your food, etc. And lastly is the Tesla Optimus, Gen 2, Gen 3. So they can not only doing the house chores, for example, folding your clothes or sweeping your floors, but they can also helping out in the factories doing machine tendings, this kind of assemblies. Okay, so you can see now, right, the AI now is actually engaged with our physical world in a way that is increasingly natural, intuitive, seamless. So that's about AI 2.0. Okay, so you can feel the difference, right? AI 2.0, AI 1.0. All right, okay? But it's not always easy, right, to let robots mimic human capabilities. So according to Moravec, so this guy is actually a computer scientist, and also he's a chief research scientist in Carnegie Mellon Universities. So Moravec paradox, actually he talked about, right, is relatively difficult or extreme difficult for robot to program unconscious tasks. For example, walking, running, seeing, recognizing, or smelling. So this kind of unconscious task, right, for human, we take for granted, right? We think it's very easy. Because for us, it's all unconscious. For example, if we're walking, right, we get tripped by some obstacle, right? So our body will balance, right? So we take this kind of a reflex so we think this kind of a reflex is very easy, right? But actually, it's very difficult for robot to adopt this kind of skills, right? Because this type of skill, right, they are reinforced through many years of revolutions, through so many rounds of natural selections. Okay, so it's very difficult for robot to adopt. But on the other hand, right, for those conscious tasks, for example, high-level reasonings, or play chess, play Go's. We all heard of AlphaGo, right? AlphaGo beat the previous Go champion Lesotho 4-1. Okay, and also the AlphaFold, right? AlphaFold generate around 214 millions of protein structures. You know, protein structure very important because that's how the drug affect with human bodies. Also, is how the virus infect our humans' bodies. Okay, so AlphaFold actually generate 214 millions, but you will take hundreds of thousands of years for human operator to manually create these kind of structures. Okay, so you can see, right, it's relatively easier for robot to adopt this kind of conscious tasks. Why? Because for Homo sapien, for modern human, we only develop reasonings maybe around 160,000 years ago. Okay, so you can see, right, the history for high-level reasoning is actually very short. So that's why it's easier to learn these kind of conscious skills for robots. Okay, so you just know it's not very obvious, right? You can see these cosmic calendars. Okay, so have you all heard of cosmic calendars? Okay, so cosmic calendar, which means you actually compress the entire universe history into one calendar year. Okay, so the Big Bang, right, is the starting of the universe. So the Big Bang is actually happened in the midnight, the 1st of January. And now it's actually 1 year later, also 1st of January. Okay, so you can see, right, the modern human, right, only emerged 9:25 p.m. on the 31st December. So you can see, right, our reasoning capability actually developed much shorter, much recent, right? But for others, for example, grasping, right? Grasping of objects. So these can be dated back to the primates times. So primate time is around 20 million years ago. Okay, but for bipedal walking is around 7 million years ago. For quadruped walkings, it's maybe around 350 million years ago. So you can see, right, this kind of unconscious task, right, unconscious skills is actually developed much more ancient times. But for reasoning, it actually developed more recently, around 160,000 years. Okay? Okay, so what's the solutions? The solution is embodiment, or we call embodied intelligence. Okay, so embodied intelligence actually means the intelligence doesn't come from the brain alone. So intelligence actually comes from the interactions with the environment through your sensor, through your motors, through your controllers. Okay, so in biology, right, the embodied intelligence can mean the animals can use the body structures, like for example, the hands, the eyes, or the muscles, to perceive, adapt, or act in the environment intelligently. For example, the sloths. We all know sloths, they are very slow, right? But doesn't mean they are stupid, they are dumb. They are actually very intelligent animals. So they work slowly is actually to preserve the energies. Okay, so they can use the curved claw and muscles to cleaning on the trees for a whole day without being dropped to the floor. So this is one very typical embodied intelligence in animals. So how about human? So have you all heard of Stephen Curry? So Stephen Curry is the all-time greatest three-point shooters in NBA. So every time he shoot the ball, right, whether he need to think for very long. Actually, don't need, right? Because why? Muscle memories. So through years and decades of trainings, so this shooting motion, actually, the muscle already had the memories. So every time when you want to shoot the ball, right, he can just release the ball. Sometimes when the defender cover his eye, right, he still can nail the three-pointer. Why? Because muscle memory. Okay, so muscle memory is another example of embodied intelligence. Okay, so if you utilize this kind of embodiment to the robot or to the AI, we can have the machines whose morphologies, sensor, and also sensory motor experience, they can actually add or adapt in the real world. Okay, so I think some of you saw this video, right? So last month, I think in China, they actually held humanoid Olympics. The robot actually compete in track and field, they compete in sprint, they compete in boxing. So but whether you actually train your robot to do this boxing before or not, actually maybe never. But the robot can still maintain a balance. Why? Because embodied intelligence. Okay, so embodied intelligence is the key to achieving Industry 5.0. Okay, so here is some examples of embodiments in real life. For example, the first is climbing robots. So this is inspired by the gecko, the adhesion toes. So the second is the sea snake, inspired the sea snake. So the robot actually can swim under the sea and also doing inspections in the deep water. Okay? The third one is inspired by the virus or by the bacteria. It's a nanobot. Right? So nanobots, they can actually go inside your blood vessel and also to remove the blood clot or even deliver medicines to specific organs with precision. So all the humanoid robot, right, is by human, bipedal workings. So they can do front flip, back flip, they can do parkour, they can carry stuff. So they can achieve some of the motion even me or some of you cannot do. I cannot do front flip. Okay? So for the number 5 is a soft robots. It's inspired by the octopus tentacles. Right? So this kind of a soft reaper, right, they can actually grasp or even much larger size or much heavier stuff than the octopus tentacles, right? Because it's using a compliance. Okay? The last one is robot dogs, right? So they can do collaborative motions. One robot dogs can open door for the others. Okay? So these are all common embodied intelligence in real life. Okay? Okay, so how embodied intelligence can benefit Industry 5.0? Okay, first is actually the embodied intelligence, they utilize a lot of the compliance, like for example, also tactile sensors. Just now we saw the octopus, the tentacles, right, the soft grippers. So they're using compliance. So thus, they can actually allow the robots or the AI to work in close proximities with operators. Why? Because the soft gripper, they are very soft. Even when they hit a human, right, they actually don't harm the human. So that's number 1. Okay, so number 2, for embodied intelligence, they utilize a lot of morphology design. Okay, so morphology actually means you're using more bodies, lesser brain. Okay, so like for example, you can utilize these skeleton structures, utilize the gravities, and utilize the muscle damping effect. Muscle damping effect means your muscle can store energies, also can release energies. Okay, so there's not much thinking inside. So which means you will reduce the control complexities. Okay, so for the first one, because most of embodied intelligence, right, they actually train using deep reinforcement learnings. Okay, so when they train deep reinforcement learning, right, actually they can also adapt, few shot or zero shot. So few shot means you can just give a few examples for the robot. They actually learn from the few examples. Zero shot learning, which means you don't even give an example, and the robot will learn by itself. Okay, so most of embodied intelligence, they have these kind of capabilities, which means they can adapt to the dynamic environment much faster. Okay, so in summary, embodied intelligence is they are closing the gap between AI and the physical world. And also, it's a key, to enable Industry 5.0 by providing a safer, flexible, human-centric collaborations, which is the theme, right? The human-centric automation is the theme for Industry 5.0. Okay? So now let's bring back to the Singapore context. Okay? So what shall we do, and what Singapore government currently doing to embrace AI? So let's step deeper. Okay? Okay, so by projection, right, by 2030, 23.8% of the population gonna be age 65 and above. So this percentage is going to increase to 33% by 2050s. So which means 2 younger Singaporeans will take care of 1 elder Singaporean. So it's actually very scary. It's actually pose a lot of burden to our CPF system. Okay, it also will cause what, labor shortage, right? Okay, but robot is here to help. Robot is best in this kind of scenario. Why? Robot can do 24/7, right? Robot don't ask for a pay increment or even ask for promotions. Robot don't have a union, right? NTUC, robot don't have NTUC, right? Okay, so robot also, okay, so that's why robot is the best to solve the labor shortage. Okay, so also the Singapore GDP, since the founding of Singapore in 1965, right? The Singapore GDP per capita is still on the upward trend. So even though we have some small dip in 1998, Asia financial crisis, 2008, global financial crisis, or during COVID or SARS, right? There's a small dip, but the overall trend is still upwards. Okay, so if we have more money, if we have more money to dispose, more income, what we do? What we do when we have more money? We are craving for more personalized or better, educations, leisures, or medical healthcare, right? So AI actually has the potential to uplift every dimensions of lives. For example, the AI now has been used a lot in the healthcare sectors, to create a personalized treatment plan for patients, right? To help the doctor diagnose the cancer cell. So these are some examples of AI had the potential to uplift of each dimension of our lives. Okay, and also, so AI have the societal demands, and okay. So how about the AI benefits? So according to a McKinsey study in 2022, okay, so around 25 to 50% of the company actually report the cost reductions after they adopt AI. And also around 60% of the company, they actually report revenue increase after adoption of AI. Okay, so AI has a proven record of benefits to the manufacturing, to the societies. And also, AI is getting smarter, right? I think you all see the kind of benchmarks before. Okay, so this benchmark actually means the ChatGPT now can achieve around 90 percentile of some of the examinations. For example, GRE, SATs, or lawyer bar examination, or doctor examinations. So they can achieve 90 percentile. So which means they are smarter than 90% of the students who take part into the examinations. So they are getting smarter. And also, have you all heard of humanities last exam? Never? So this examination, right, is a set of exam questions prepared by the doctors, professors, principal, engineer. So these are kind of questions is very difficult. So that's why it's mean the last examinations. So if the AI achieve 100% inside these examinations, so which means the AI, the intelligence is really on par with humans. Okay? So now the best AI, which is the Grok 4, the large language models, they can achieve 23.9%. Okay, Gemini 2.5 can achieve 21.1%, and ChatGPT O3 can achieve 20%. Okay, but I don't know how long it takes to reach 100%. Okay, based on the current AI advances, also computing power become more and more available. So these figures can increase much faster. All right. Okay, so my conclusion is AI and robots are inevitable. Just like Thanos, right? Thanos, he can snap his finger, wipe out the half of the populations. So it's same as AI robots. If AI and robots are inevitable, what shall we do? Or what shall the Singapore government do? Okay. So you look at this chart, right? The Singapore government actually is one of the first few countries. So just slightly after China, US, South Korea, to announce the AI Singapore. And in 2019, right, it's a National AI Strategy 1.0. In 2023, it's a National AI Strategy 2.0. Okay, so which means Singapore government, they are actually very proactive to embrace AI. Okay, so they prepare all the laws, regulations, and also the guidance funding possible for us to adopt AI. Okay, and also Singapore government pump a lot of money, right? So okay, so I think recently they just pumped $1 billion to boost the infrastructures, to grow talents, and also to foster the public-private partnerships. And also, the AI initiatives will be included in RE 2030. And also, recently, 150 million to boost the cloud provider partnership with the enterprise. So is actually for the computing power, right? To train your large language models, to train your AI algorithms. Okay, so there's a lot of money available. And more recently, right, National Day speech by our dear PM Lawrence Wong, right? He also mentions AI is the defining technologies or times. Previously, Singapore actually ride quite well during the dot-com boomings and also blockchains, right? So now it's the AI. So Singapore government actually notice the potential of AI. Okay, so that's why the government very supportive, and also they are pushing for more adoption, right? So he gave 2 examples. So one example is the transport, so the autonomous transporters. Okay, so another example is in Changi Airport, which are previously involved in, is to build these autonomous luggage handling for T5. Okay, so he gave these 2 examples. Okay, so but he also mentions, right, Singaporeans will always be at the center, right? So this is actually aligned with the theme of Industrial 5.0, right? Just now we talked about Industrial 5.0. The theme is human-centeredness, right? So same here. Okay, so Singaporeans will all be at the center, and so but we also need a lot of upskillings, either through skill futures or through job redesign or retrainings. Okay, but the hard reality is in Singapore. Okay, the hard reality in Singapore. SME drive 99% of the Singapore business and hire 70% of the workers. But the AI adoption in SME is relatively very low. Okay, so in 2023, it's only 4.2% of the SME adopt AI. Okay, so this one is a slightly increase from 3.8% in 2018. Okay? But for MNC, right, it's slightly better. For MNCs, 44% of MNCs adopt AI, so double from 16.7% in 2028. So this is according to MD reports. Okay, so the AI adoption rate in Singapore is very low. So what shall we do? What shall the company do? Okay, so call to actions, right? So first is you are working in SMEs, you have companies, or you are doing startup, right? So I summarize purpose, right? I need to find the purpose. Okay, so what's purpose? So P stands for prioritize. So prioritize the ethical and trustworthy AI development. Because in the future, right, AI will be working, AI will become our colleagues. Okay, so we must make sure AI is ethic. Okay, and secondly, we need to educate the public. We need to upskill the workforce. We need to educate the workers that AI is not here to take your jobs. AI is here to enhance your capabilities. Okay. R stands for reimagine. So we reimagine a future collaboration with agentic AI or embodied intelligence. Okay, so that's the futures. But I strongly oppose, adopt AI for the sake of adoptions. Okay, Okay, so we need to first do the need analysis. So whether there's a need to adopt AI. So if there's a need, right, then we can start to plan. And also we need to calculate the return on investment, right? So how long it takes to pay back the initial investment. Okay. So P stands for pilot. Okay, don't straight away scale up the AI. Don't straight away scale up the AI products. Okay, so start from some small project first. If you have the capability, you can do it in-house. If you don't have the capability, right, you can work with NUS or research institutions, right, to do a small pilot projects. So if everything makes sense, right, then you can scale up. Okay, so for O stands for orchestrate, right? Orchestrate across discipline. In Singapore, right, you have so many grants, government grants or subsidies. For example, the productivity solution grants, or energy efficient grants, or enterprise development grants. There's so many grants to apply. Okay. And the last is S, right? Last but not least, right, is S and E. So S stands for simulate, right? Stimulate the current infrastructures, because you will make the current infrastructure compatible with AI. Then we can adopt the AI solution, right? So last is E. So embrace the human-centric design from now, because that's the future. We cannot stop it. That's the future. So that's why we can start adopt the human-centric value from now. All right. How about individual? So I will still quote the famous quote, right? I think most of you already saw this, right? So AI won't replace you, but someone using AI will. I think that's, so the letter is actually us, right? We are the one who are using AI. So we are here to take other people's jobs, okay? So what shall we do? What shall individual do? So I summarize T and C. It's not term and condition, T and C. So T stands for tools, Okay, so first we need to find our niche areas. So which area we want to further develop, whether it's doing machine learning, or whether it's doing data visualization, or doing cloud platform, right? Then we can dive deeper and find the available tools in different niche areas. I think most of the tools, they actually have the free tier. Okay, so not every tools or software need to pay the subscription fees. Okay, so most of the tools are actually free. Okay, so C stands for continuous learnings. Because AI is evolving so fast. For me, I teach AI, right? I need to keep changing my slides every time I teach because AI is evolving so fast. Okay, and also try to commit to a lifelong learnings because it's never enough, right? AI keep changing. We need to continuous learnings and also equip ourselves with the knowledge of new technologies and techniques. Okay, so T and C. Okay, so these are some examples. If you're interested in robotics, right, you actually look at some of the tools over here. So for example, Carbon LCM, module cores, and the unities. So these are the type of tools you can do deep reinforcement learning for robotics. Okay, so you're interested in doing labeling, right? You can try deepen. Okay, so you are interested in a digital twin, right? You can try visual components. Or you want to test your physical AI solutions, you can try NVIDIA ASIC. Well known, NVIDIA has the Omniverse, right? So Omniverse is actually a physics-based virtual simulators. So they can be used to train the robots in virtual environments. So that's why it's called physical AI. So NVIDIA ASIC is actually the tools to test your physical AI. Okay? So then we also have the robotic frameworks, the ROS, right? Robotic frameworks. So Avis, Gazebo, so they are all robotic frameworks. Okay? So you are interested, you can actually take this kind of tool into considerations, right? And also AI tools, right? There are so many AI tools available. I think most of you are already using, right? Whether the AI tools for linguistics, for marketing, or for scientific creativities, or for musical creations. So many tools for us to use. Okay, don't stay put, right? Try to adapt, right? Try to equip yourself with available tools or knowledge. Okay, so you are interested in doing AI development, right? You can actually consider these kind of frameworks. Also libraries on top of the slides. So these are Keras, Scikit-learn, TensorFlow. So these are all frameworks to do machine learnings, all right? And most importantly, right, Gen AI tools. Okay, so for example, ChatGPT, Grok, XAI Groks, Anthropic Clouds, DeepSeek, Midjourneys. So who never used this kind of tool before? Who never? Right. So I think all you are already using these kind of tools. Right. So my point here is, right, don't just prompt. Don't just everything just prompt. So try to know the pros and cons for different type of Gen AI tools. So for example, Cursor or Autopilot, right, they are best to do codings. For ChatGPT, 5.0 or for Grok, right, they are best at reasonings. Or for Chinese, you can go DeepSeek, right. For generate images, you can go Midjourneys. Okay, so try to know the pros and cons. Also, which Gen AI tools to approach when you have a specific applications or problems. Okay, but also remember the cognitive depth. Okay, so this is according one study, recent study by MITs. Okay, so they found out actually, even though ChatGPT can boost our productivity by 60%, right, but they will reduce our brain connectivities by 32%. So you all know the brain connectivity, right? So that's how we learn the new knowledge. Okay, so when we learn a new knowledge, the neuron will form the connectivities. Okay, so if we over-relying on ChatGPT, right, you will reduce our brain connectivities. Okay, and also 83% of the people, they actually couldn't remember a single sentence they wrote. They have memory drops. And also the essay read by ChatGPT, right, they describe is soulless, lack of ownerships. Okay, so that's why if we continue over-reliant on Gen AI tools, right, you are lead to a long-term underperformance in our brain behavior, also our language measures. Okay, so use Gen AI tools consciously and also intentionally. Don't just everything just prompt. Okay, try to think first before you're using Gen AI tools. All right. Okay, so I think I will leave this kind of introduction of AI to my colleague Edgar. Thank you very much. Okay, so last but not least, right? Okay, how many of you actually consider doing a career switch? Doing a career switch? Nobody? Okay, so you consider doing a career switch, right? Remember, the age is not a defining factor anymore in the modern societies. Okay, so Donald Trump only became the president when he was the first term 70 years old, right? But Joe Biden even was 78 years old. You know the average expectancy in the US is only 78 years old. Okay, so the age is not an issue anymore. Okay, so it's never too late, to change, right? Be bold, be decisive. Okay, hope you all can find your passions. Okay, so I find my passion in education, even though I'm suffering, but I still do it. That's my passions. Okay, so I lack of sleep, very stressful jobs, right? But I still do it because that's my passions. I hope all of you can find your passions. Okay, don't just find jobs because jobs are temporary, right? Job is only 2 or 3 years. Like, only find jobs if you really cannot pay your bills, right? Then you'll find jobs. If you can pay your bills, try to think of your passion, because passion is your true north. It will stay true until your career, all right? So thank you very much. Appreciate you all coming here today, okay? So,
Thank you, Dr. Xavier. Okay, so now's the time for Q&A. If you have any questions for our dear professor here, can let us know. Yeah, so I'll hand you the mic. So this is still for you. Anyone, questions? Yeah. How about we test you? What was purpose? What does it stand for? Joking, yeah. Anyway, also no prizes for that. Okay, so if you have no other questions, you can still think about it. Then it's my turn. Since all of you are here, I'll use the opportunity to blatantly sell some koyok about this. Yeah, so, no, it's okay, I'll take, yeah. Sorry, give me a moment, huh? Okay, good. Okay, so I'm Edgar from NUSISS. So I head the graduate recruitment team here. So I think some of you are alumni already, but as part of our mission for lifelong learning, together with Scale, we want to share with you some of our causes. So NUSISS, we are a tech institute in NUS. We were founded in 1981. Actually, believe it or not, we were founded even before our NUS School of Computing. So back then, NUS School of Computing was just a department. Yeah, they founded ISS first because they needed to upskill the locals for tech skills. Yeah, so we've been around. A large part of our work, we work with corporates to really help them upskill their staff and also to help them design some short-term IT courses, yeah, for their staff, right? The first program that we launched is the graduate diploma, which is a tech conversion program, IT conversion program. So that program is still running today, more than 40 years on, okay? So we've trained a lot of people over the years. And yeah, so these are some of our programs, professors, and we, all in all, other than the corporate courses that we have, we also have 5 postgraduate programs, 4 Master of Technology programs, one of which Dr. Xavier is teaching in. And then we have a graduate diploma in systems analysis, which is the tech conversion program. And one very unique feature about our postgraduate programs, especially the full-time ones, so for anyone thinking about a full-time postgraduate program, is that our programs have a mandatory internship. So here at NUSISS, we're very practice-oriented. We believe that people have to practice and not just learn in class. So for those of you who are in various fields, you want to pick up tech skills, you can always come back to us. Yeah, not necessarily for the masters, because our master's program, so I'm just going to jump right into masters now. This is our Master of Technology and Enterprise Business Analytics. It's a data science master's. It's available 1 year full-time or 2 years part-time. Yeah, so you can take this up as a part-time master's, or it can also be taken in a stackable format. So what does that mean? That means that the one block here is actually one graduate certificate. And the way it's done is that each graduate certificate is mapped to a particular job role. Yeah, so to complete the master's, you need to complete 2 fundamental certificates and 2 specialists. So there are 5 here, you choose 2 to complete. But you do not need to stack up, you do not need to commit to the full 2-year master's. you can always take one grad cert at a time and stack it up to the masters. Or if you are because this is lifelong learning, right? If you just want a particular skill set, you can also just pick up one single grad cert. Okay, so some of our grad certs are SSG funded. Yeah, so there's a lot of incentive for you to come back and do lifelong learning, okay, to pick up skills so that you continue to stay relevant. So this is business analytics. You can see that in our specialist grad certs, that's where it's unique, the unique features of the program. We have customer analytics. So if you're in the marketing field, you're doing products, this is something you can consider, all right? So advanced predictive modeling techniques, intelligent financial risk management, these are more for people in finance. So the next one is right now the hottest possible masters around. That's the artificial intelligence systems. So the basic fundamental grad certs, you have all your machine learning, machine reasoning, pattern recognition, things like that. But it's in the specialist grad certs that we truly shine. So we have robotic systems. So that's where Dr. Xavier is teaching, robotic systems. And that is a really hot topic right now. So intelligent sensing systems is where you learn about driverless vehicles. Financial risk management is the AI and finance piece. So a bit more like fintech. Then we have practical language processing where we teach you about large language models, how to create your own ChatGPT. Okay? Then the last one, and this is the latest, so this last graduate certificate was only introduced about a month ago. So architecting AI systems. So this comprises AI cybersecurity, and we also have Agentic AI, which is really new. And it's the single hottest topic right now in AI, all right? So that's something that's exciting. So if you are keen on picking up any of the grad certs, you can let me know. All of you have my email. I emailed you. Okay, so the last one is software engineering. So software engineering is more focused on platforms, products. So we have a dedicated cybersecurity grad cert here on top of the Agentic AI one as well. Okay. The last masters that I'll share with you is the Digital Leadership Masters. This is really more for senior execs. It's like an EMBA style kind of masters. So you will cover, this is non-tech. So earlier on it's all tech. This is more on the leadership. This is a leadership program through and through. It's meant to drive digital transformation. So you're talking about policies, strategy, processes, all from the digital standpoint. Okay. Yep. Okay, and the last program that I'll share with you is our Graduate Diploma in Systems Analysis. This is the IT conversion program. This is the one that's been around for more than 40 years. All right. So this is a conversion program. That means that if you wish to pivot into the tech industry, then we will teach you things like programming. So you learn Java, you learn Kotlin, you learn Python, you learn Android as well. So that's Kotlin. Okay, so how to create your own applications, do user experience, user design, things like that. And this program is only available full-time. Yeah, so our locals, and 1/3 of the class are always locals. So until today, quite a large number of locals do take up this program. So they take that leap of faith, quit their jobs, and join us full-time for this program. Every single intake. And that's 2 intakes a year. Okay? So they come in, they pick up the skills required, we put them out through an internship, and then subsequently they're able to land a job. So just for your information, this program, the employment rate for locals is more than 90% consistently in recent times. Okay? So that also goes to show that the demand for tech talent continues to grow in Singapore. However, I must say that the nature of the tech industry is such that people who join the tech industry or take up tech roles generally work on projects. So what happens is in a project, suddenly there's a new piece of technology that comes out and it renders the project irrelevant. So what do? So of course they can the whole team. So that's quite normal. So then they move on, upskill, pick up the latest tech and look for another job. Yeah, so that's the very nature of the industry. It works that way. All right, so one thing for sure, when you come into such a program, we always want you to come in with your eyes wide open. We'll tell you about the tech industry so that you understand that that's the nature of it and not that, I fear losing my job. Yeah, so what we do shouldn't define us, as we learned today. Yeah. Okay, so the rest are all about entry requirements. I'm not going to cover too much about it. Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can let us know after this session. So with that, any other questions for us before we call it a night? Any questions, anybody? Yeah, for Dr. Xavier especially. He is the subject matter expert. You have come all the way here. Okay, so if not, okay, yes, come. Okay, so the honest answer is that if you want to pick up a grad cert, it will be good to understand what you're getting yourself into. If you don't have a tech background, unfortunately, we don't encourage you to take up the master's degrees in AI or software here at USISS. They are quite technical, and generally people who take up the AI or software engineering masters have a tech background. So people who don't have it, they go for either our analytics masters, they go for our graduate diploma for conversion. Otherwise, we also have other AI masters here in NUS, not just NUS ISS. For example, NUS Scale, they have a AI and innovation masters. So that's more for people who without a tech background. That's a little bit different. It's a bit more focused on innovation, but you still learn about AI. Yeah, but you don't learn the more technical ones, then you come to us. Okay? Okay, good question. Thank you. Anyone else? Celeste, anything you want to add?
Any questions, you can come to me.
Yeah, so Celeste is from NUS Scale, yeah, so our Lifelong Learning Institute, and you can find out about alumni perks from her, and there are quite a lot, okay? Okay, so with that, thank you very much for joining us this evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. Very happy to see all of you. Have a good weekend.